All right. It looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Jason Levine. And today, back here on my YouTube channel, I'm going to be doing a quick live stream tutorial on how to edit your music for your videos to any length or duration without changing pitch, without affecting tempo or anything like that, with a simple, easy function inside of Adobe Audition called REMIX. And what's really amazing about this is that it allows you to literally take any kind of song, whether it's commercial music that you have or something that you've composed or a royalty-free track, and instantly you have the ability to choose the duration that you want or simply drag it to fit a specific duration, and it just works. And it's really amazing, and you've got a lot of flexibility. I'm going to show you all the various options. As always, I've got my live interactive chat here, so feel free to say hello. We've got Evil Cerise, how are you doing? RP Gaming, hello, nice to see you on the channel. Faux My Life, what's happening? Peter Whiter, nice to see you. Michael Westcott Films, oh yes. Yes, the Thursday YouTube. You know, we're broadcasting live from VidCon today, so I couldn't hop on Facebook, so I figured, well, might as well go to my channel, and we'll just we'll continue the trend. So, all right, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? And I'm going to switch over to my screen here, and this will be some familiar video footage. What's up, Howard? How are you doing? Okay, so again, it doesn't matter what kind of videos you create, whether you're doing daily vlogs or you're working in film or episodic TV. Ultimately, there's some point where you've got some kind of a music bed, and again, it doesn't have to be even, you know, a popular song or pop song or whatever. It could be underscore, it could be incidental music, it could be music that doesn't have a beat or a pulse, it could be ambient, sort of just dark, ominous tones sustaining over a period of time that you need to either elongate or shorten to fit a specific duration. REMIX does this for you using powered by Adobe Sensei's machine learning technology, and it's really, for lack of a better phrase, it's a game changer, particularly if you're not really comfortable editing audio. That's kind of the key. So now, if you are an audio editor like myself, it still is useful because it just saves an enormous amount of time. And even after the fact, even after you've run this remix process, and what it's basically doing is dynamically recomposing your track for you. There's an option that I'll show you which will allow you to take those recomposed, re-edited pieces that are properly cross-faded and everything else, and continue to manually make changes to them. All right, so before we get in, just one last little series of hellos. Hey, Samantha, what's happening? All right, Hassan Jama, very nice to see you. Okay. Ooh, I'm very, very low voice today, right? I was doing voiceover yesterday, so maybe that's why. I'm just kind of in that zone. Today on KPFA. All right. So here's some familiar video footage that I've shown many, many times, my friend Fuzzy. And I've got 3 different audio files, audio soundtracks here that I may want to use with this video. So let me go ahead and we're just going to play the first one here, which is an acoustic track of ours called Anytime. And I'll go ahead and wind this back and just play a little bit of this for you. And what you can see is that if we look at the edge of the video here, our video ends approximately there. And actually the audio, curiously enough, just happens to sort of go right to the edge. Now we could obviously stretch this out to fit it. I'm going to just simulate for today that the video sort of ended right around here, which is just about at the 2-minute mark. All right, get that out of the way so you can see it there. All right, doesn't matter. The process is the same. But let me just play back a little of this so you can kind of hear the feel and what this kind of looks like and sounds like.
3, 4. My name's Fuzzy Island, and I play music, I write stories, tell stories. I guess I'm just an old storyteller, guitar player, singer-songwriter. I'm so downhearted.
Okay. Now, of course, we probably want to duck that music underneath the voice, and I can show you that too in just a moment. But the first process here is allowing us to recompose this track to fit the duration that we want. So again, we're just going to pretend, I'm going to set a little marker right about here, this marker 1, that we want it to be approximately 2 minutes and 8 seconds in duration. So here's how this works. So we're going to select first our audio track, in this case the music track. And I want to make sure that you have the Essential Sound panel open. If you don't see Essential Sound, you can always access this via the window menu here. You'll also be able to access the Essential Sound via your Workspaces menu over here, and I believe it's called Essential Video Mixing. You don't have to use this with video. We just sort of introduced this feature as a way for video editors who may not love editing audio, quick and fast access to this new amazing tool. All right. So once you've got Essential Sound, the way that it begins, the way that it works is you need to tell Audition what type of file is this. And you'll see we've broken it out into 4 commonly encountered file types: dialogue, music, sound effects, and ambience. So for using Remix, you're going to tag, that's effectively what these are, they're metadata tags. You're going to tag this file as music. And when you do that, it then reveals a series of effects or processes that you would commonly use to process or augment your music track inside of your larger mix for your video or for your podcast or whatever. So you can see the first thing at the top here is loudness auto matching. Now I'm not going to talk about this now. I've got lots of videos right here on my channel, including one just about Essential Sound that talks about loudness auto matching. The short story on that one is basically it allows you to take all of your music files, and these are very different if you just take a quick listen. So we've got this acoustic track here. Okay. And then I have this other one, which is called Acoustic Animation, but this is more like an inspirational piece that I wrote, sort of a corporate inspirational piece. Take a listen to this. Orchestrated and all. And then I have down here, this is kind of a 70s funk piece of mine. Both of these unreleased, called Silver Stripes, and it sounds like this. All right, that's my little Moog synthesizer in there. Okay, so the first thing we do is we tag it. And again, what loudness auto matching would do is it would look at the actual loudness of all of these, the way that we perceive these tracks, and make them all the same loudness, that same sort of average listening level. And this is really great if you're editing different audio tracks to your video, because sometimes, right, if you've got like a new Cardi B track, or you've got any kind of R&B, hip hop, whatever, those tracks are typically mastered really, really hot, really, really loud. But then you bring in something like my sort of 70s funky whatever. Maybe it's not mastered as hot, maybe it's not quite as loud, and there's this difference in listening level. Similarly, that corporate inspirational rock is visibly, you can even see that the track is not mastered quite as loud as these others, okay? So loudness auto matching will do just that. It'll make them all the same apparent loudness without you having to mess about with volume controls. Super useful, super helpful, and you can do this on all audio types. This function is present with dialogue, with music, with sound effects, and ambience. All right, but we're not here to talk about that. I always give too much info. I'm sorry. It's just the way that I am. I want to give you some context here. What we want to go into is duration. So we're going to go into duration, and you'll see that in duration, we have 2 options here: stretch and remix. So we're going to choose remix. Now again, because I just can't help being myself, stretch is just that. It uses our stretching algorithm to allow you to adjust the duration of that audio track. And it's going to use the stretching algorithm, meaning that if you were to shrink it down, right, so I want to shrink this down about 1.5 minutes, it's going to speed everything up without changing pitch, but it has to speed everything up to fit that new duration. I don't want that. I want it to be the same tempo, the same pace. I just want it to be shorter. So it's going to have to edit out some of the pieces here. So that's where Remix comes into play, because it allows you to adjust the duration without affecting pitch, without affecting tempo, and it basically says, okay, I'm going to cut out this chorus, I'm going to cut out this verse, I'm going to cut out this B section, middle 8, and it re-edits all the sections together for you to sound perfect and seamless, literally with like a single click. So, Remix. Then you have Target. What duration do I want this to be? All right. As always, with all Adobe applications, lots of different ways to do the same thing. So I can set a target here either by click dragging, I can click into the field and type a new duration, or even easier and infinitely more visual and fun, you'll notice that if I hover my mouse over the upper right-hand corner of my audio track here, you see these little wavy lines? This is our remix slider. So effectively now I can take the edge of this audio track, hold on, let me move my mouse here, and I'm simply going to drag it to this marker here, all right? I don't know what exactly, low on disk space, what? 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 2 terabytes? We're low on disk space? Are you joking right now? Oh my God. This is what you get live, friends. I don't mess around. Okay. It doesn't want me to drag this right now. Okay. Hold on. We're going to have to come back to this right now because something is barfing and, you know, that's just the way it's going to go. So, forget everything I just said. Don't forget what I said. We're going to just come right back to this. I don't know why I'm getting that weird warning. Never seen that before. Sure, save this. Okay. Just come right back to this. Something weird going on there. You have to believe, friends. You can't fake it live. All right, here we go. So we're going to go back to this again. And it's all just going to be perfect and work the way we want it to. Do you feel it? I feel it. All right, glad this is on my channel happening. Okay, so looks like we're still tagged. Looks like we're still in remix mode. Let's see what happens when I drag this to that marker like I want. And now it's working and it's analyzing. And what you'll see is it starts analyzing the clip, okay? And it figures out where it needs to apply or create or make those edits. And it also figures out how it's going to edit and transition the pieces together. So when we take a look at our audio file now, what you actually see is this little wavy line running across the audio right here. Well, this represents the edit point. And you can see that it actually cut approximately at 1 minute and 11 seconds into the original track, and then it edited it together with a piece that actually began at 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So it cut out about 1:30 and just spliced these pieces together. So now, when I play this back, let's just wind back here a little bit, and here we go. And we can put Fuzzy's audio back in if we desire.
That's all a feeling thing.
Inspiration.
Yeah, you know, a phrase will start kicking around, and it might all come out in half an hour, and might all come out.
Okay, now you're thinking, oh, that's cool. I didn't really hear anything. Well, you're not supposed to. Let's listen to the audio by itself, and let's hear what the edit sounds like. Okay? Simple. Now, again, if we wanted to continually say, maybe we want to extend it a little bit more this way. It does its recomposition thing. Notice it's now changed the position of the edit. Let's go ahead and listen again. Anytime you say, ooh. Absolutely seamless. I'll be thinking of you. Okay, and this time it went from 1:20 to 2:23. All right, now you'll see that you have this option here, favor shorter segments. So if we were to check this box, what this then does is it applies edits using smaller segments of audio. So maybe we wanted to not just sort of take the very beginning and the very last section and edit those together, but maybe get a little more creative with the sections. Or maybe you want even more control over the number of edits or a minimum amount of editing to take place. Well, you can do this and you can modify these options inside the Properties panel. Now, once again, if you don't see the Properties panel, you can find that as well under the window menu, okay? And in the Properties panel, you'll see a section called Remix, which hopefully, let's see, yeah, we're right at the edge there. So I'll just drag this up so you can see it all. Looks good, all right? So here, now you can see with that favor shorter segments box checked, you can see now it's set very short edit lengths. Let me just go ahead and uncheck that for a second so that this can be totally dynamic. So by default, it's using longer edit lengths. But as we adjust this slider, what you're going to see is it's going to start to sort of adjust how it's editing this file. And then you have the features. Do you want to feature more on the harmonic side or more on the sort of the timbre or sort of the more rhythmic side of your track? So again, by making adjustments here will affect how and where it applies those edits, and you can see that on screen here. All right, so if we were to go more harmonic, something like this. Now look at this. Now we've got 3 edits in place. So let's take a look to and listen to what those sound like. I'll be thinking of you. Beautiful. Let's check another one. That's the time. Okay, so that one was an okay edit, but it edited sort of in a weird part of the verse, so I wouldn't personally keep that. I don't love that. Again, we could just slide it to make an adjustment there. Let's hear this one. That one, absolutely beautiful, seamless, right in the middle of a bass solo. Let's take a listen to that again. Fantastic, okay? So again, you've got all this flexibility here with your sliders. Notice also that you have something here called minimum loop and maximum slack. So if you've got like a serious beat-based track, which we have down below, you can say don't edit anything, don't make an edit that's any shorter than 8 beats, right? Or maybe you want a 16-beat phrase, okay? It doesn't know verse, chorus, middle 8, it just knows by beat structure. But similarly, as I mentioned before, you don't even have to have a tempo. You can use this with, well, let me rephrase that. It doesn't have to be a steady tempo, or it doesn't have to be something that has percussion or some kind of steady pulse to be able to perform really beautiful, seamless edits. And that's the key, right? It's taking the pain out of you trying to find the right spot and automatically fitting it to fill the duration of your video or your podcast or whatever. So that's on this one example, okay? So let's go ahead and try another one. I'm going to pull up this Silver Stripes track now. Or actually, no, first let's do this one acoustic animation. Because this one, now what we need to do is we need to elongate this. Now again, the track is only a minute long. So we have to basically repeat it multiple times or have it do the repetition. But if I were to simply drag it and repeat it, I'd still have to edit the pieces together. So this is going to do all of that for us. So once again, we'll tag this as music. All right, go into duration, go into remix. It analyzes the clip for us. Checking over to our chat here real quickly. Oh, we got lots of people in the chat right now. Very nice. All right. Thank you very much, Blade Wire. Vicious Phil from Dallas. All right. The Toot Toot Monster changed your life. Rock on. All right. Peter Whiter makes it real. Damn right. All right. Sweet, sweet. Okay. Do I have any ASMR videos? Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, Blade Wire, because Evil Cerise had mentioned some time ago, long ago, when I used to stream on Twitch, that we should do more and more of those. just hours of glottal sounds and clicky noises. Maybe we can do that for a weekend stream or something. Okay, so remix. All right, here's our track. Let's go ahead and take this and now drag it out to, again, the edge of that cursor right there, like this. All right, and you can see I've got a little slack that talks about this maximum slack. So when you use remix, remember, it's not affecting tempo. So sometimes when it does the remixing of the sections, the maximum slack means how much sort of slack, right, extra you're allowing it to have generally at the end, right? And if you think about a fade to black or something like that, it's generally okay. Again, that's the maximum here. So I think the minimum maximum slack is 5 seconds. That's actually very workable because again, did I just say actually 15 times? I could drag this in even further just to ensure that it ends sort of exactly where I want it to go, all right? Now the reason I actually use this file too is because this has quite a bit of silence in the fade out here, which would be perfect for this fade to black. And what you'll see is that it created those edits right on the track, right here for us. So let's go take a quick listen to what this sounds like. Okay, so now it edited perfectly, but it edited like during the drums. So it was actually a really nice crossfade. Kind of weird though, like you heard kick, ride, fade out, and then suddenly it's just back to music. I wonder if it did the same thing here. Yeah, okay, so that one wasn't terribly musical. Now again, it's at 100% for edit length. I don't typically recommend that. So let's move this back. Let's start around 50 or so. Okay, so now we've changed those. Let's see what it did. Kind of interesting. Again, it's very musical, it's in time. Maybe we also say now, I want a minimum of 16 beats for my duration. I mean, it's a really good edit. It just edited in the middle of the drums there, right? So, let's see this one. Which is sort of cool. I'm kind of digging it. I wouldn't have done it that way myself. Okay, so let's see if we change our edit features. Again, really beautiful edit right there. Very nice. Let's check it here. Now that's freaking sweet. And let me explain why that one is so cool. Because this edit that's right here happens at 54 seconds. So this is actually the end. This is the end of the song, which it edited brilliantly to the beginning of the drum intro. So sometimes musically it will shock you. So good, okay? And that's extending or elongating a piece to fit. So it was too short to begin with. Now we've made it fit the entire duration. You've got sliders to play around with. So you don't have to think, oh, bad edit points. I've introduced a click. I've introduced a pop. It just works. It's shocking how good it can be. It's also not going to nail it every time. You have to play around a little bit. But you're basically playing around with some sliders and just letting it do its thing. Now, if you like the edits, but again, maybe you didn't like that chorus reappearing. This is a very short piece where you wanted it didn't edit the verse that you wanted. Well, you have the ability to take those edit points, those actual pieces, and reorganize and move them around. And the way that you do that is simply by right-clicking or control-clicking on the audio clip. Go into the Remix menu, which you see here, and you choose Split Remixed Clip into segments, all right? And when you do that, now what you see are the actual edit points with the crossfades that it's applied. Now, note to self, when it does this, it brings it in as a group because naturally it maintains the edits that you just heard when it was just that wavy line. So it's a fail-safe. Fail-safe? It's a way to prevent you from messing it up. But ultimately, you want to be able to move these things around, right? So let's again go to our right-click, control-click menu, go under Groups, and simply choose Suspend Groups, okay? So we're going to remove or suspend temporarily all of these clips being grouped together. So now you can see I can select them individually. And when I do that, and I zoom in, now you can actually see, I gotta stop saying actually, you can see what the crossfade is doing and where, right? And how it's affecting the audio underneath, segueing into the next piece of the clip. Right? And this is the end. But it's fading it out just perfectly. And if we wanted to readjust that fade curve, right? Maybe we want it to actually, said it again, maybe we want it to last a little bit longer before it gets to that drum hit, all right? Just a little, something like that. All right, like the drums kind of faded in there. See, like the original version was better because it really punctuated that kick drum, right? You can see where that kick drum is. It's right here. So the fact that we're fading it in, and can everyone follow what I'm doing? So the top line here, this is showing you the fade out of this audio, and here's the fade in of the layer that's currently selected. Here's the attack of the drum. It's right here. So we've got kind of a smooth attack. We want to hear more of that. We want that to be really pronounced. Okay? So let's wind it back. You feel me? Yeah. Okay? And once again, once you've got these sections, you know, now you can do whatever you want. All of these sections work together, but now you could yourself manually recompose, move things around, re-crossfade. And it's worth pointing out, if you've never done this in Audition, when you drag clips over top of one another, do you see what's happening here? It automatically starts the crossfade for you. So you don't even have to do anything. It's not like you have to manually fade one side using keyframes. It's doing it automatically. And then you can come in here, and again, you can adjust the fade curve. And you'll see, I won't go through all of these, but if you hold Option, Command, or Shift, it gives you different variations of the type of curve. One is going to be completely symmetrical. Another will be more Bezier style or sinusoidal. Another will allow you to adjust the duration, but not the shape. Sometimes you want the same kind of fade, but you like that specific fade, the underneath track, fast or slow. You know, you get the idea. The shape of the curve. So it can preserve either or. Really cool, really easy. All right? Let's get these back to where they were, like that. Okay. Now the last thing I just want to show you here with regard to, and we'll go to this other track here. Let's do the same thing. We'll tag this as music. We'll go into duration. We'll go into remix. We'll let it do its analysis. And I'll drag it to the line here to shrink this up. Okay, so this track is long. This one's even longer than the video itself. So once again, we'll kind of drag this right to the edge there. All right, it does its thing. Now, this one in particular, it did an edit at the top of the file, and this is a best practice. So this video is running a little longer than I had hoped, but I'm going to give you, this is all the details you need to use Remix, and this is a best practice. So this is, if we just double click on this to bring the original into the editing view, the waveform view, this is my still unreleased, like it wasn't even a finished mix. The track isn't even finished here. This is just the instrumental. Well, actually it is an instrumental, but it's not even the finished instrumental. So what I have at the beginning of the file here is my slate for the track. Take a listen. Whoops, sorry.
Okay, Silver Stripes mix number 8.
Okay, so that's like my talk back, and then when I was in the studio, and then there's Fred Fung, drummer extraordinaire.
Ready?
Super loud. Okay. Let's just make that a little bit quieter. This is coming off of an MP3 too. So if you have like talking, silence, count in, or something that's not necessary, all of that gets factored into the remix, okay? Because really what you want is that you want it to start at the beginning of the audio track. I don't want the clicking, the count in my slate, because all of that gets factored in when it analyzes the clip. So a best practice to avoid that is to simply come in ahead of time, give yourself approximately 250 milliseconds, which is a quarter of a second. You can go into decimal mode to verify that. So I've got about 580 here, so that's a half a second. That's perfect. You want approximately a quarter to a half a second at a minimum of silence. At the beginning, I'd say 250 to 300 milliseconds is probably where you want to be. Again, more than that, then that silence gets introduced into the analysis. Now you might want that. Or maybe the track has a slow fade in. So again, there's a minute, it's seemingly 30 seconds of very quiet sound. That's fine. But with something like this, it starts, right on the beat, right on the downbeat. So let's just get there quickly. So if we were to play this right now, right, and if I want to get rid of that little noise right at the beginning, right, we got some natural hiss in there. Man, I mixed that track super loud. Okay. All right. By the way, if anybody was wondering, so this is, actually, I can't remember if this is the Moog or the Juno 106. We've done a lot of stuff on this channel and others talking about spectral analysis, but for you audio analog fans out there, this is kind of a nice little sweep via one of the mod wheels. So much low end. So sweet and bassy. That sounds like the Juno 106. I don't think that's the Moog. Okay, so in any case, now that we've done that, what you see is now, again, that's it's re-affected how this track appears. Now, to be honest, just in terms of caching and other things, my recommendation is edit it beforehand, right? Notice also, by the way, we've got all that dead space at the end, so you want to get rid of that too. I don't want too much silence at the end because that gets factored in as well. So I'm gonna delete that. Again, just do a little fade to silence here. Okay, show the whole thing. Let's go back to the multitrack, and then I'm simply going to reinsert this original file. And the reason being is that I want it to analyze fresh and clean in this new format without the the silence and the count in and the duration stuff. I don't want any of that in there. So we go back into Remix, it reanalyzes, and now I'll take the same thing again and I'll just grab the upper right hand corner here, drag it to the duration that I want, it'll stretch to that duration, boom, and it does its own edit. Once again, edit length, let's kind of move this into the middle somewhere. Okay, that looks like it's giving me too many. Let's go to a more harmonic feature here. All right, maybe slightly longer edits. All right, there we go. And let's hear how it sounds. So this did 2 edits basically to fit this whole thing into approximately 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Drop the volume here and let's take a listen to what this sounds like. Now that's a really interesting one because that part actually goes, and it edited in the middle of the, it took it to like actually the ending of that phrase where the drums kick in. So freaking good. Like, the edit is so good. I can't promise it's going to be musically what you want, but gosh darn it, the edit is just really, really good. Okay, so that one, not so much, but that's the end of the track there, too. All right. Now for this, again, I might even increase this to something like 16 beats because there's such a pronounced hi-hat on this. And then you can, and it's different every time, right? Now it's totally redone where those edit points are. Let's take a listen to this. I mean, I'm not sold on any of that, were you? No. Yeah, so that wasn't musical at all. Let's go back to this. All right, a little bit of that. Get it right. That one's kind of a weird, it went an extra beat there, but musically it's okay. Okay, so I'm kind of now, as I'm making it do sort of very strange things. Oh, here, let's try this one. That one was good. Very nice. This one goes right into the breakdown. I like that. Oh, wait, no. Nice. That fooled me. All right. Yeah. Really good. Okay? So, same thing applies. We could now continue to just drag these around, get it to how we want, right? One last thing. So, if you want it to be an exact duration, okay, you have the ability to do that. And you can choose this checkbox here, stretch to exact duration. Now, the thing is, when you do that, it's going to use time stretching. So again, it's going to use that method that I talked about before, the stretch method, where your duration affects the tempo. And just to tell you what that sounds like, let's go ahead and go into the stretch mode, all right? So what happens if we take a 4-minute track and we suddenly make it 2 minutes, but it doesn't change the pitch? Well, it has to play faster, right? So the tempo is... So now it's going to be... It's going to be double time, right? No, not good. All right. It's not even that, first of all, it's a 200% or 50% stretch, double time, but barf. No, that's not what I want. Changes the whole feel, right? I want it to be that slow, kind of languid, awesome, groovy. Similarly, if we were to take this now, notice now this switches to a stretch clock icon instead of the remix icon. If we were to drag this out longer, what do you suppose happens? Well, it plays it. It's going to be slower now, right? Because we're elongating that. So let's take a listen here. Now, that in and of itself could actually work. However, you'll notice that it's a little gritty. It's a little grainy sounding. Under the stretch properties here, so remember you've got separate properties for remix, separate properties for stretch. We're now at 100%, 120% of real time. You have real time and rendered modes for the playback. Real time, of course, is just that. You drag it, you play back, it immediately plays. But it's a little gritty. If you go into rendered, this is going to effectively do a pre-render of that stretch algorithm on your audio file. But depending upon the duration of that file and the speed of your machine and blah, 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 many other factors, of course, it has to render it out. And stretching algorithms, not unlike something like 32-bit color effects, they're fairly math intensive. So, I mean, this isn't the end of the world, but it's going to take about another minute and a half or so for this thing to render the stretching. Now the difference is, and the benefit here is that invariably, I'm gonna go for it and say it's going to sound better. That digital gritty graininess that occurs in real time will not be. It certainly won't be as evidenced or as obvious in this rendered method. All right, might as well just let it go, and I'll go back to the chat while it's finishing. Okay. Howard, it's bonkers how seamless those edits are, right? Right? I mean, truly, again, it's not always going to be musically what you want, but it's funny. You start listening to like commercials or even, whatever, Netflix series and things, and if you pay attention to the background music, which remember, when someone's talking over it and there's dialogue, you're not listening necessarily to like, wait, was that a 5-beat phrase instead of a 4-beat phrase? If you start doing it, first of all, I don't recommend doing this. It'll ruin how you watch films and movies, of course. Howard's probably laughing right now. It's like, I've done that. But if you start listening for it, you'll be like, oh, yeah, like that. Instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, suddenly you'll hear like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Like they added it. There's like an extra beat. They probably used this, or it was just easier to edit one beat further out into another section. So this happens all the time. And again, when the dialogue is going, no one's really paying attention. It's just about, it's the difference between having a bad, lousy, non-seamless edit with some weird pop or something that is so jarring that you notice it versus, musically, is someone going to call the police because you're in 4/4 time and suddenly there's a bar of 5/4? No. No one cares. Maybe, music nerds like me, and we'll sit there, 5. No one cares, I mean, right? It's really just your own personal choice. All right, let's take a listen to this now. Yeah. Right? Sounds good. It's got to sound super trippy now. So the rendered version will obviously sound better, but at a cost of you having to render it. And just for comparison, let's go back to real time, instantaneous. Here's what it was before. It's called a flam. So it's trying to like elongate the snare hit, and you're kind of getting this because it's just grainy, and and maybe you want it dirty, maybe you want it kind of like 8-bit crunched sounding. That's kind of what that is, right? It does, there's a lot of plugins, VST, AU plugins that do like the 8-bit bit crushing and stuff. That's ultimately the kind of sound that they'll achieve. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that if it's something where the music is kind of a feature, but maybe that's what you're going for. Maybe the scene is, right? It's some like dark, dungeony, dark, dirty, whatever. Dark. I go right to dungeon. I don't know why, but you get what I'm saying. All right. Anthony. Thank you. Loving the tutorial. Thanks for the... Oh, you're very welcome. Kitsia, how are you? Okay, so hopefully this answered all of your questions. Again, the replay will be available right here on my YouTube channel. Hope you got to watch it all. Samantha, wow, okay, sweet. Marble and Marble, hello. Bladewire, yes, nice. Jane Messer. Okay, how are you? Ian, you're only here in case Terry turns up. We're going to do another... I believe his title was The Wizards of Workflow. We're going to do another combo team stream. So me and Terry, and we'll do one together, and then maybe me, Terry, and Paul. Terry, Paul, and I, the three of us. Failing grammar today. All right. Let's see. Any more? Any more cues? That's it. You're all just chilling. Okay. So, friends, that is Adobe Audition Remix. You saw it here. Take a file, tag it as music, go into the duration field over here, choose Remix. Type in a target, or simply click and drag it. If you want more options, more editability, more flexibility, go up to the window menu, go into the Properties panel, twirl down, not stretch in this case. We'll go back to this original one here. Twirl down Remix. And again, now you've got all the various options for edit length and features, minimum loop and maximum slack. So cool. As I mentioned, if you choose stretch to exact duration, it effectively puts you back into that stretching algorithm, in which case, if you are going to use stretch, I probably recommend going into the rendered flavor of it. Oh, and lastly, by the way, with regard to stretch, one other thing that's really essential to know. So real time can actually also sound really, really good, and you can also emulate super old school tape style Varispeed stretch. What does that mean? Okay, well, you notice you have type here. Well, because this track is, obviously it's music, it's drums, it's bass, it's vocals, it's keyboards, there's more than one tone playing at a time. So a voice, right, my voice, your voice, trumpet, these are monophonic. It's one note at a time. My Moog Rogue, right? Classic late 60s Moog modular and early 70s synthesizers. One note at a time. You can't play, it's not duophonic, it's monophonic. One note at a time. Anytime you have more than one note, one sound playing simultaneously, you want to use the polyphonic method. But you also have the ability to choose Varispeed. And what that will do is simulate. Imagine if this were playing back on tape. So, not unlike the stretch, except slightly different. So if I were to take this track now that Varispeed is chosen, and I shrink it up, right, so that it fits the duration. Well, with stretch, using polyphonic or monophonic, remember, it doesn't affect pitch. So it's the same pitch. It's just faster or slower. Varispeed now affects pitch and tempo, right? Because that's what a tape machine would do, right? So now that we made this shorter, what can you guess it's going to sound like? The chat answers out loud to themselves. Okay, here's what it sounds like. Suddenly it sounds like my buddy over at Game Chops, DJ Cutman, might dig this. Ooh, maybe Cutman and I should do this one. All right, so it's faster and the pitch is higher. Similarly, with a Varispeed, if I drag it out, what's going to happen now? The pitch is going to lower and it's going to be slower. Now, when you elongate something with Varispeed, you really get to hear like it gets very, very organic sounding. So toms will sound like, they're really going to ring. Everything's going to be ring. Of course, the voices are probably going to sound super weird. Let's take a listen here. Right? Okay. That's not for every project. That's not going to be what you want necessarily for everything or anything. But it's really cool that we have that option in there in any case. All right? When the Chipmunks are back. Yes. And that's, by the way, that is how the Chipmunks were recorded, if anyone cares. How did they do the Chipmunks was it the 50s when it started, in the 60s? Definitely the 60s. So they would take the tape, right, on the tape machine, probably running at 15 or 30 inches per second, IPS, right? And then they slow it down, right? And then you sing at your regular pitch. Right? And then when they bring it back up to speed, and you're singing against whatever the pitch is, on the tape at that slower speed, when you Varispeed it back up, that's why. And it always has that very kind of very fast vibrato, because it's taking your natural normal paced vibrato and double speeding it, or whatever they slowed it down to. So that's how they classically recorded the Chipmunks. Also, Beatles used this technique. Frank Zappa used this technique with the Mothers in the late 60s a lot. I mean, this is how you generated those voices. There were eventually some black box devices that did that too. Changing pitch without changing duration. That was a big deal. But they too, because they were these early electronic design black boxes, very grainy, not super pleasing to the ear. In fact, there's a track, I think it's called She's Going Bald, on the Beach Boys' Smiley Smile, 1967, the album that came out in lieu of Smile, which was a very big disappointment for many. There's at the end of She's Going Bald, there's a part where they're going sha na 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 sha na 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 sha na 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 na, and it's this black box thing that's actually creating the pitch change. They were one of the first to use Moogs on record, as were the Doors, as were the Monkees. Yes. All right. Well, my friends, that is it for the live stream. It went a little bit long. You got a lot of information. It is going to be archived here on my YouTube channel, and I will go back later today and I will chapterize this for you. I can't take out the chat, but I can chapterize it so you can click to exactly all the different sections, or just watch the whole thing and get your learn on. Thanks everyone so much for watching For My Life. Peter Whiter, all right, Howard, Ian, Anthony, Kitsia, Samantha, Blade Wire, Jane, Evil Cerise, Vicious Phil, Hassan, RP Gaming, and anyone else who joined in today. Thank you again, and we'll see you tomorrow, perhaps on the Facebook page, either on Premiere After Effects, or maybe we'll just be right back here on YouTube. We'll have to see. But I will be streaming again tomorrow, so I'll see you then. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.